to say he was pushed into that.
Dawn versus Natalie. We want to know who can jump the highest out of these two.
The Sudanese boy wins it.
Campbell, the flick down. Oh, Jan Syracuse! Have you ever seen better than that?
The best team all year. We are a very happy team at Hong Kong. Thank you.
After consultation with relevant stakeholders, the AFL Commission have approved a number of amendments to the rules and interpretations of the laws of the game for the 2014 Premiership season. In line with the AFL's long-term commitment to players' safety and welfare, these amendments are primarily designed to protect players from injury and to keep the game competitive, entertaining and exciting. Amendments for 2014 have been made to the following areas: forceful contact below the knees, players drawing head contact, protected area, hands in the air interpretation, marking contests. Forceful contact below the knees. In 2014, a free kick will be paid for forceful contact below the knees or any reckless sliding action which is likely to cause injury had contact occurred. Players are encouraged to remain on their feet when attempting to take possession of the ball. The following examples are where players elected to go to ground and made forceful contact with an opponent below the knees. Stratton elects to go to ground and makes forceful contact below the knees of Elliott and is correctly penalised. Palmer elects to go to ground and makes forceful contact below the knees of Cramery and is correctly penalised.
This is the textbook definition of the new rule, really, there.
Cameron elects to go to ground and makes forceful contact below the knees of Clisby and is correctly penalised. In the following two examples, neither McMillan or Hayes makes forceful contact below the knees of their opponents and therefore will not be penalised in 2014. In this case, McVeigh jumps out of the way to avoid possible contact. The action of Hams could be considered reckless and in a manner likely to cause injury. This would be considered a free kick in 2014. The contact below the knees rule will not be applied where players are attempting to smother the ball, attempting to mark the ball, pushed, bumped or tackled to the ground, already on the ground and then reach out for the ball. In the following example, Brown attempts to smother the kick of Bruce and therefore will not be penalised. Drawing head contact. To discourage players from activities that draw forceful head-high contact, the following changes have been approved. Driving the head. A player who is in possession of the ball and drives his head into a stationary or near stationary opponent shall be regarded as having had prior opportunity. He will be required to legally dispose of the ball once tackled. In the following example, Lewis drives his head into a stationary opponent when in possession of the ball. In 2014, he will be required to legally dispose of the ball, otherwise he will be penalised for holding the ball. Ducking. Where a player ducks into a tackle and is the cause of high contact, the umpire will call play on. In the following example, Griffin ducks into the tackle and the umpire correctly calls play on. The onus will continue to lie with the tackler to avoid contact above an opponent's shoulders. Umpires will continue to be instructed to protect the ball player. Protected area. Hands in the air. In 2014, the strict interpretation of hands in the air within the protected area will be removed. The umpire will use his discretion in determining whether a player within the protected area is attempting to delay or impact the player in possession of the ball by having his hands up. All players are encouraged to leave the area in a passive manner without raising their hands. In this example from 2013, Paparone was penalised for having his hands in the air while in the protected area. However, he has no impact on the player in possession of the ball and therefore will not be penalised in 2014. The following examples will result in a 50-metre penalty in 2014. Pavlich remains in the protected area and raises his arms in the air and is deemed to be interfering with the player kicking the ball, resulting in a correct 50-metre penalty. West raises his arms within the protected area, delaying Jamieson from playing on, and is correctly penalised 50 metres.
Put the hands up to the protected area.
Marking contests. The only change to this area in 2014 is an amendment to the wording contained within the law 15.4.5, subsection D. The word unduly has been included and describes any action or actions that are deemed unreasonable and excessive in a marking contest that prevents a player from contesting the ball. Where the umpire deems there is an unreasonable or excessive push, bump, block or hold that prevents an opposition player from contesting the ball, a free kick shall be awarded against the player. Early and or forcible removal of an opponent would be considered unreasonable. Players are permitted to use their bodies in a marking contest as long as the action does not clearly prevent an opponent from contesting the mark. The following examples are all instances of what would be considered legal marking contests. Jones holds his ground. Lonergan manoeuvres his body in a legal manner to take the mark. Pettard uses his body and arms in a legal manner to take the mark.
The kick was weighted perfectly, allowed him to nudge his man under the ball.
Birchall uses his body in a legal manner to take a mark. Other free kick areas. In relation to other free kick areas, there will be no change to the manner in which they will be interpreted in 2014. These include 50-metre penalties, holding the ball, ruck contests, advantage, deliberate rushed behinds, protection of the ball player, holding at stoppages, deliberate out of bounds, zero tolerance to abuse, marking contests, other free kicks. 50-metre penalties. As in previous years, 50-metre penalties will continue to be awarded against a player who cribs the mark or enters the protected area after the set kick has been established, delays the play by preventing an opponent from moving the ball on quickly, uses abusive language or demonstrative behaviour towards an umpire, or engages in other conduct for which a free kick would ordinarily be awarded. In the following examples, umpires have correctly awarded 50-metre penalties. Turley delays the play by knocking Vlosten to the ground after he has clearly controlled the mark. Swallow punches the ball into the crowd, clearly delaying the play. Holding the ball. Holding the ball can be categorised into 4 areas. Prior opportunity. Diving on the ball. No prior opportunity, genuine attempts. Illegal disposal. Prior opportunity. When a player who is in possession of the ball and has had a prior opportunity, that is, a reasonable time to dispose of the ball, and is then tackled legally, he must immediately kick or handball the ball. In these 3 examples, Bruce, Karnezis and Edwards have had a prior opportunity. That is, a reasonable time to dispose, and are tackled legally and fail to kick or handball. They are correctly penalised for holding the ball.
Edwards darts and weaves, gets tackled.
Holding the ball.
Foley and Taylor have not had a prior opportunity. The umpire correctly calls play on, as they are deemed not to have had a reasonable time to dispose. Wines and Schofield are incorrectly penalised for holding the ball. They have not had reasonable time to dispose of the ball. Diving on the ball. Where a player elects to dive on or drag the ball into or under his body, if legally tackled, he must successfully knock the ball clear. Failure to do so will result in him being penalised for holding the ball. Jamar dives on the ball, is correctly tackled and does not hit the ball clear. He is correctly penalised for holding the ball. Silvani drags the ball underneath him, is correctly tackled and is not successful in hitting the ball clear. He also is correctly penalised for holding the ball. No prior opportunity, genuine attempt or attempt to correctly dispose of the football. A player who takes possession of the ball but has had no prior opportunity to dispose will be given a reasonable opportunity to make an attempt to correctly dispose of the football. Players do not have to successfully handball or kick the ball, but must demonstrate to the umpire that they are making a genuine effort to dispose of the football. In the following examples, Rosa, Smith and Adams take possession of the ball and fail to demonstrate to the umpire that they are making a genuine attempt to dispose of the football and are correctly penalised for holding the ball.
Big pack at the drop of the ball again. In front, Adams trying to manufacture a free kick. Part of that ball is still in. Umpire lets them play. No attempt from Adams.
If a player's arm or arms are free, the umpire may deem that there is no genuine attempt being made. Hence, a holding the ball decision may result. Tutt should have been penalised for holding the ball, as it is clear he is not making an attempt to dispose of the ball when his arms are free. Enright and Jack take possession of the ball and are immediately tackled. They make an attempt to correctly dispose of the football. Illegal disposal. The player who has possession of the ball and drops, throws or places the ball on the ground without making a genuine attempt to handball or kick will be penalised. Jones, Patrick, Pittard and Hoskin Elliott have control of the ball and do not make a genuine attempt to dispose of the ball when correctly tackled. The ball is not knocked out in a tackle, and subsequently correct illegal disposal decisions are paid.
Hoskin Elliott. Hunted down by O'Shea.
Well, it is made to hit that target.
Oh, that's dropping the ball.
Rucks. Ruckman will continue to be separated by at least 1 metre prior to the ball leaving the umpire's hands in 2014. The umpire will instruct a ruckman to move if this is not the case. Failure to follow the umpire's instruction may result in a free kick. Bailey and Sandilands are not 1 metre apart, but respond immediately to the umpire's instructions. The third man up is still allowed. Vardy legally contests a ruck as a third man up. Umpires will continue to protect the ruckman who play the ball and not the man. Ruckmen cannot push, bump, block or hold their opponents while contesting the ruck. In this example, Kiki illegally blocks Mumford from contesting the ruck to allow his teammate to contest the ball. Mumford is correctly awarded the free kick. Minson uses a straight arm and blocks Marriage from fairly contesting the ball and is correctly awarded a free kick. Sandilands blocks Natanui and is correctly penalised. Bailey blocks Sandilands from contesting the ruck and should have been penalised. Advantage. When a player has been awarded a free kick and a teammate elects to take advantage and has been called to do so by the umpire, the play will continue and will not be recalled. The umpires have been instructed to delay the advantage call until the player demonstrates his intention.
Servant, that's beautifully into it.
In these two instances, Spur and Corns demonstrate their intention to take advantage and are correctly called to do so by the umpires.
And it's going to be a free kick advantage. Oh no! Corns holding the ball.
If a player raises an arm, stops or otherwise demonstrates his intention not to take advantage, time on will be called and the set kick shall occur. Armfield and Selwood demonstrate their intention not to take advantage by putting their hands up and stopping once they have summed up their options.
Hutchins goes down, advantage not taken by Selwood.
The only time advantage will not occur will be at stoppages, boundary throw-in, centre bounce and field throw-ups when an out-of-zone umpire pays a free kick. Deliberately rushed behinds. A free kick will be awarded against a player from the defending team who intentionally kicks, handballs or forces the ball over the attacking team's scoring line when not under immediate pressure from the opposition. Heppel is correctly penalised for a deliberate rushed behind when he walks the ball over the scoring line after not being under immediate pressure. Clisby is not under immediate pressure, but then draws the pressure from the opposition. Even though he has not brought the ball into play in the correct manner, he then handballs the ball over the scoring line and is correctly penalised for a deliberate rush behind. Deliberate rushed behind free kicks will be awarded from ruck contests when an opponent punches the ball across the opposition's scoring line on the full, as in the case with Mitch Robinson.
You can't knock the ball on the full from a ruck contest through the goals.
In the Walker example, the umpire will continue to give the benefit of the doubt to the defender when he is considered under immediate pressure. Protection of the ball player. Umpires will be instructed to continue to be diligent and award free kicks against any player who lies on an opponent's back, who sits on his head or shoulders or makes high contact in any other form. In the following examples, the tackler was penalised for high contact and pushing his opponent in the back. Moore is met front on when attempting to contest the ball. Blake and Carlisle are pushed in the back.
That could be in the back in the end, it was.
Holding at stoppages. Holding the man at stoppages will continue to be a focus area for the umpires.
Holding Chris Judd.
In all these examples, Judd, Heppel and Boak are held and prevented from competing in a fair manner for the ball.
Free kick. Chose back, free kick for Adelaide.
Deliberate out of bounds. Umpires will continue to be instructed to penalise players who intentionally handball, kick, carry or force the ball out of play. This includes walking the ball over the boundary line. Ruckmen will continue to be penalised for intentionally knocking the ball out of bounds from a ruck contest, regardless of whether the ball crosses the line on the full or bounces prior to crossing the boundary line. The following are all examples of deliberate out of bounds.
The boundary, the same's got to be deliberate. Yeah. Nobody within Kelly.
Not under real pressure, needs to be careful here. And this one is taken out of bounds, that's got to be deliberate.
Big boy McAvoy here, up against Dixon. St Kilda players are appealing to Woodruff, they've got it.
Zero tolerance to abuse. The umpires will continue to apply a zero tolerance to abuse or demonstrative behaviour. Players who infringe in this area will be penalised accordingly.
Free kick against you, Courtney Dempsey. Abuse.
Marking contests. The following are examples of free kicks that should be paid in 2014. Bartel pushes Parker from a front-on position and is correctly penalised.
Open forward line. Oh, that's a tunnel. That is a supreme tunnel.
Merritt and Dempster bump, tunnel their opponents under the flight of the ball and are correctly penalised. King blocks Howe from fairly contesting the ball and is correctly penalised.
Jeremy Howe.
Maguire clearly interferes in an intentional manner with Giles' arms as he's contesting the mark and is correctly penalised.
Good decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Big grab of the arm from Goose Maguire.
Bailey is held while in the marking contest and is correctly awarded a free kick. Blake and Richards place their hands in the back of their opponents and are correctly penalised.